You're watching News 24 Live. Welcome to our Super Rugby preview for the second round. Of course, round one, full of surprises, so round two could bring us more of those. I'm joined in studio by Sport 24's Garen Lamley and Rob Howing to preview this weekend's fixtures. Gents, good afternoon. Thanks for coming in.
Afternoon, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
On paper, I think that this is probably one of the more evenly weighted weekend clashes based on, obviously, last weekend's results. Rob?
Yes, Nick, it's going to be another sort of hazardous weekend, I think, in terms of predicting. Most of us had a bit of a sort of comeuppance in the first round. Some of us got sort of 2 from 7 if we were lucky. The even luckier ones got 3, although there aren't too many of those walking around.
I was one of them.
Well done, well done. I had to really scratch my head over some of these matches. Most notably, I think, for instance, Sharks-Lions. You know, pre-season, if you had thought Sharks-Lions, you would have thought, well, comfortable win for the Sharks as, you know, one of the hot picks for not only the South African Conference, but possibly also as title challengers again. And they've already come a cropper against the Cheetahs. So coming up against the Lions team that is potentially that little bit more organised even than the Cheetahs team. You know, that the Lions team has got a little bit more of a sort of a togetherness factor going than the Cheetahs, who had lots of disruptions in the close season, etc. So I think certain risks attached, and rumours that the weather may not play ball particularly well in Durban. So that's going to be a potentially a little banana peel game, and I had to sort of dig deep before finally resolving that the Sharks would win it. But you know, South African teams playing New Zealand teams also quite hazardous to pick, because you always got to give due respect to the quality of on paper of some of these New Zealand sides. So no guaranteed wins for, you know, either the Stormers against the Blues or when the Hurricanes play the Bulls. So it's as you say, another tricky weekend, which is one of the reasons that the competition keeps its popularity, I suppose.
Garen, let's start with the Friday fixtures. Kicking off Chiefs-Brumbies. Of course, the Brumbies smashing the Reds last weekend. The Chiefs, you know, 2-3-time champions. So, I mean, they're playing at home. Rebels-Waratahs. Rebels surprising the Crusaders. Waratahs defending champions. And then, yeah, Bulls-Hurricanes. Hurricanes beating the Lions. So, like we were saying earlier, sure.
Yeah,
who do you go for?
Tough games to start off week 2. You know, Brumbies, Chiefs, not ordinarily, that would have been a game of the weekend. Certainly one to look out for. Got the Chiefs, who got past the Blues in week 1. Weren't fantastic for full 80 minutes. They were certainly much better in the first half. They let the Blues come back into the game in the second half. It's going to be a tough game. These two teams actually played in pre-season. The Brumbies edged it by, I think, a single point or 2. So lots for the Chiefs to improve on. They've got Aaron Cruden back at number 10, which will be a boost for them. But this Brumbies team were perhaps the team of week 1. You know, they certainly recorded the biggest victory over the Reds. So, you know, they're going to travel across to New Zealand. A tough game to call. You know, if I have to, again, I'll probably go for the home side in this one. Chiefs, but only by a couple of points, with no sort of assurance there. But, you know, I'm a big Sonny Bill Williams fan. I think, you know, he showed good promise in week 1. I hope he gets the Chiefs over the line in that game. And then, as you said, Rebels shocked the Crusaders in Christchurch last weekend. Now they're up against the Waratahs, as you said, who are the defending champions, but went down surprisingly to the Force in week 1. Again, a tough game to call. You know, you look at the Rebels and you think, you know, was that a one-off match in the first week when they caught the Crusaders a little bit cold? But they're back at home in Melbourne. Tough to beat again at home. I expect the Waratahs to bounce back. I think this will be a close game. You know, again, with no assurance, I'm going to put my money on the Waratahs just to sneak that one away from home. And then the big game from a South African point of view on Friday night, 7:10 kickoff. Got the Bulls looking to bounce back from their defeat to the Stormers in week 1 against the Hurricanes team, who I thought played well against the Lions, but were fairly fortunate to win that game. I think the Lions had lost it more than the Hurricanes won it. But for the Hurricanes, they got Ma'anonu back at centre, pairing up with Conrad Smith, a really formidable looking Canes backline, pretty much all black backline there. I think the Bulls will have a bit of ascendancy up front. Apparently the weather's going to be pretty good for open running rugby. I expect this to be a high scoring game. Both teams not shy to swing the ball. I think the Hurricanes, with their backline, will certainly score some tries. Having banked the 4 points from their first game, I don't think they'll be too upset if they do score a bonus point for the 4 tries, which will probably mean that they'll finish within 7 points. They might even sneak the victory. Certainly if they leave South Africa with 2 victories, they'll be really, really pleased, having got their overseas tour already out of the way in the first 2 weeks. But again, I'm going to go for the Bulls at home to sneak a victory by 2 or 3 points.